Hi, I'm Shelley Johnson. I've got my tea. I'm inviting you to join me as we hear some words. And yes, give them space to do a work in us. To all my girlfriends out there, and maybe some of you guys can relate too. Did you ever have this experience where you walk in your closet one day and you're just overwhelmed with questions like, how did these clothes get so old? How are they so small or dingy or just out of fashion, like almost like it happened overnight? And we would love nothing more in that moment just to start over, to toss all the old and just go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. But there are very few of us on this planet who can afford to just do it all at once. My friend Amy Walker of the Devoted Collective used this very analogy in her study on Colossians to help us understand what Paul was saying when he told us that in Christ we can take off the old self and put on the new self. And for Amy to make this connection, this analogy with clothing, it has really helped me grab hold of this mysterious thing of taking off the old self and putting on the new self. Because like ill-fitting clothes, the way that we were before we came to Christ, before we have surrendered fully to Him, before we've allowed Him to do sanctifying work in us, there are old things about us that frankly just need to go. They hold us back, they hold us captive, and He is about making us free. So what are some of those old spiritual things within us that just need to go? Well, I've thought of a few. You can help me think of more. Pride, shame, regret, bitterness, rage, envy. We get the picture, right? So how do we take off these old things? And it's by getting in Jesus' presence, again, in Christ. So we come to Him, we get in His presence, not just once, but consistently, day after day. We're reading His Word, we're praying, we're talking, we're listening, we're receiving. Sometimes we just sit in the quiet, we receive, we just let Him do a work in us at the core of who we are. And little by little, the anger is replaced by His love. The pride goes away, and the new that we put on is humility. The bitterness is rooted out, and in its place is a joy and an ability to forgive, an ability to move on in grace. And just like that wardrobe, it doesn't happen all at once. He doesn't demand it. He doesn't expect it. In fact, my experience has been kind of like layers. As we work on one thing and then we dig a little deeper. Oh, there's another thing. But it's all done with love and grace and for our good. It's not done out of judgment and wrath. It is done with this, I know what's good for you. And so one at a time, we exchange the old self for the new self, because in Christ we are made new, one little piece at a time. Let's carry that with us into the week. What piece, what article of clothing that is old and stinky and ill-fitting needs to go? And how can we get consistently before Jesus and let His love and grace do a work in us, so that pretty soon we're carrying things like love and peace and joy ourselves? Let me know how I can be praying for you. I'll see you here next week.